interwebs, I hope you're all doing well. So just a quick little video here about something that just continually frustrates me here on YouTube, and that is around its nudity policy. YouTube has a policy against showcasing nudity on its platform, and to a degree, I understand why it's there, because they don't want to become a porn site, and as much as I am here for porn and, uplifting, saying, support sex workers, sex work is work, and they deserve to be treated as humans and be able to have a platform for their work, I also understand, certain platforms for certain people and where people are engaging with porn and things like that. So I understand having a policy against nudity. But one thing that their policy continually says is that you can showcase nudity in an educational context within certain limits. But last week I released a YouTube short that was a cut down of my Barbie video that featured a quick segment of Renaissance style art of Adam and Eve, as I was talking about like beauty standards and where they sort of come from in our society and this sort of racial aspect of them and sort of where it comes from Catholicism and all that jazz. And the image showed a picture of Eve's bare breasts, and that video got taken down by YouTube, saying that it broke their nudity policy. And it goes to why you see in my main videos on my channel often that I will censor breasts on Renaissance style art, and it's really honestly frustrating to me when I have to do that. But I know if I don't do that, my video may get demonetized somewhere down the line. More often than not, it'll happen a few weeks after a video releases, and then I can't fix it because I don't want to lose all those views or whatever on the video. It just has to now be demonetized for the rest of the time, which means that it limits its ability to be found and maybe pick up steam somewhere later on in the algorithm. The worst is if a video gets released, does decently well for the first few hours, and then gets one of those claims, demonetized claims, after it's already been released, because like, well, I can't get those views back. If it's only been out for like 30 minutes or the video gets flagged before the video actually goes live, that I can fix. But it's been out for a little while, it's like, well, that really just gonna hurt the video overall. And what's frustrating to me about this nudity policy, beyond it just being like a flagrant like disregard of this whole notion of like, oh, we can use it in educational, like it's just it's ignoring their own policy on that front. But even more so when it comes to women's breasts, because men can show their chest, women can't show their breasts, because we have sexualized women's bodies so that more of women's bodies are seen as sexual and thereby needing to be covered up. It's sort of the same thing that was happening a little while ago with the Twitch stream, where it was talking about like artistic nudity that Twitch is going to allow. Then people got all uptight about it, and then they reversed that policy, and it was all about like a woman like showcasing just the top level of her cleavage, not even showing her nipples or anything, and people seeing that as sexual. And yes, it can get into this element of like, yes, she was aware of that, but like, where is that line? And one of the things that I always think about, especially as a trans woman, is there was this one woman, trans woman, a few years ago who on Instagram posted pictures of her developing breasts because Facebook/Instagram at the time had this policy against like, you can't show a feminine nipple. And so this person was sort of wondering, this trans woman was wondering, it's like, when are you going to see my nipples as feminine? When there's like full boobs, when they just have little mounds? I mean, technically as a trans woman, her breasts were feminine before she even took any hormones, before they started like developing into larger breasts, because she was a woman and thereby they were feminine breasts. And so like, where was that line? And it's always, somewhere in this weird like thought process of whoever is making that decision at Facebook or Instagram, and no clear line of like, it needs to be this long. And again, it's this thing that, I'm talking about YouTube here, but it can bring it throughout all of our society of like, what makes a feminine breast? I got breast augmentation to give myself like larger breasts. I have breast implants in my body, and I paid for those myself. Like, I paid out of my own pocket or my credit card to be able to get breast augmentation. And I still am paying it off to this day. Welcome to capitalism and its debt-based economy. But I had tried before I got the surgery to see if it would get covered by my insurance, because luckily I live in California, and Kaiser Permanente in California will sometimes cover feminizing surgeries if they deem it, medically necessary and not just aesthetics. Which is frustrating, because where is that line? I got examined by a doctor, and the doctor had to very clinically look at my breasts, and they determined that my breasts had developed into a feminine sized breast, so they wouldn't pay for it, because like, look, your boobs are big enough, they're feminine enough. I'm like, no, I don't feel like they fit my body frame at all. Like, it caused me body dysphoria, but to the doctors it wasn't medically necessary, it was just aesthetic. But then again, a cis woman might have this same exact feelings, like, oh, my breasts aren't big enough, so I want to get them bigger to better fit my frame. And again, going to this idea of these ideals of feminine beauty that I was talking about in my initial Barbie video that was coming up on YouTube that they censored because of women's breasts and the feminizing of it. See how it all ties back together in this conversation? I can bring it back, I can. So ultimately, it leads me to just continually be frustrated at YouTube, having this policy of like nudity being okay when it's educational, but still having this very puritanical view of nudity whenever it shows up, and more often being willing to censor nudity on women than nudity on men. I ended up talking a lot more than I thought I would about this. I thought this was going to be a minute-long video where I complain about YouTube, but obviously I have much more thoughts on this subject that I probably will put into an essay at some point, but these are my weird ramblings. Welcome to how my brain works. You can see how my videos end up being much longer than they actually should be because my brain just goes on these weird trains. But what do you think about nudity on YouTube? What do you think about my breasts? Because I talked about them a lot, so go ahead. I don't give a shit. And beyond all of that, I hope you, my friends, live long and prosper. Oh God, what did I just invite?